Katowice, a crazy crowd, crowd.
It is a crazy crowd. It's always a really great crowd as well, and I think like one of the great things about doing Intel Extreme Masters events is just you get these wild crowds, and it's for me. I've done quite a lot of sports over my career. It's possibly the best crowd you get.
For sure.
The most wild crowd, the most into it crowd. So yeah, it's been great. It's great every year.
Nice, and I will give you a proper introduction. If you don't know his face, you'll know his voice from the BBC. It's the fantastic stage host OJ Borg. Your 8th Katowice this year.
Is that what it is?
Got it correct. We were talking about it before we started the interview.
I wasn't sure because the problem is I came here for the BBC originally. We made a documentary base. It was, the BBC dipping its toe into esports. We called it Rise of the Cyber Athletes, and I went around a load of different IEM events, and we came here and we recorded some stuff, and it's here where I met the guys who put the stuff on. I met Carmack, and they sort of asked me if I was interested in doing some stage hosting for them, which I was. And then I've spent tons of time here over the years, which is sort of weird. Like it's a city I knew nothing about. Growing up in the UK, I knew nothing about the city, and now I've spent so much of my time here.
Of course, and you are obviously still employed by the BBC.
I am. I think so.
You keep coming for this rock and roll Counter-Strike, as you said on stage.
Yeah, man.
How does that conversation happen? Is it like, lads, I've got to go again, give me some time off?
Well, no, because it's a weekend. So basically, I did my show Wednesday night, did my show on a Friday. So I did my show Wednesday night, got a flight first thing Thursday morning, had no sleep, can't rehearse, and I just fit these events into it. And I used to do way more events. But like 2 young kids, I can't really do the travelling, so I pick a couple, and that's my annual couple of weekends out to come do it.
Fantastic, and it's a very different atmosphere being in the studio. Obviously, loads of viewers, but you can't see them. Than being on that stage. Do you prefer being on stage, having Matt Williams sit in for you back home, or do you like being out there, in the studio and getting things done?
Phil Williams sitting in for me,
so.
But listen, he can be Matt Williams. It's fine. He won't mind. He looks like a Matt. It's totally different. Like radio is such a beautiful medium because it's live, it's about music, it's about vibe. I do my show between midnight and 3, so it's about this sort of overnight audience, which is, I always think if you work nights, it's dog hours. So every hour you do at night is like 7 hours in the real world. So it feels like I do 21 hours a night. But then when you're on a stage, what's weird is no one will ever believe me when I say this. I struggle talking in crowds. Like if it was like 10 people in here, I would struggle with it. I hate it. I feel really awkward. But when it's like 10,000 people or 15,000 people, or I did something this summer for the BBC, which was like 50,000, it doesn't bother me at all because you can't see people in the face. So it's a totally different thing. But that ability to come on stage and people, when you say, "Are you ready?" they cheer. It's never not going to make you feel great.
Definitely.
And I tried some Polish today. Apparently my Polish wasn't shit.
Not bad, and that ability to come on stage, as you say, is something completely different.
Yeah.
Especially, maybe not too different from what you were doing on Nuts TV back in 2000.
Oh, mate, you have read my Wikipedia. Jesus Christ. Well, no, Wikipedia's totally Nuts TV's totally different because that was a studio with no audience.
Oh, fair enough then, yeah. But
it was just TV.
You've answered it a bit, but how do you transition from being in a studio with no audience to coming into esports? MTV as well, it's completely different.
Yeah, I don't really. A lot of the skills, I've worked around tons and tons of sports. So I've done darts, I've done motor racing, I've done MMA, I've done all these different sports over the years, done rugby, done football. And realistically, I'm not an expert on any of them. But what you understand quite quickly is you don't need to be an expert because most of the people who are watching anything are not experts. What you will always have alongside you is people who are experts. So in the esports, being surrounded by Moses or Chad or Alex or any of these people, they're experts. I don't need to be the expert. And when it comes to what I do around esports events, I don't really need to know that much because what I'm doing is I'm hyping up an event. So my career has been very much about dipping in and out of different stuff. So, I'm absolutely a master of nothing, master of nothing at all. I am not an expert on anything at all other than blagging it a bit. So the difference in skills is just, it's multifaceted that you do different things, and I've always enjoyed being on stage, I've always enjoyed the live experience, but then I quite like the intimacy of radio.
And that comes into my second question, my next question, about how you've done so many different things. You've done football, you've even done a bit of Swift.
Yeah.
Do you have a favourite, or is it all sort of, not a blur, but I guess you said the skills.
Oh mate, it's all a blur. I live absolutely in the moment. Like I can't remember, like I went through the year I had last year to do an Instagram post, and I had forgotten most of it. And like I look back, and it was so many great things. Did a couple of great esports tournaments. Like I DJ'd in front of 50,000 people in Leicester. We did different shows. I did a couple of game shows as well that I was on. I won Celebrity Mastermind. I did point. I did all these things, and then I look back and it was like, oh my god, I remember none of this. And I guess that's the point of being busy. And it's also quite good that never reflect on past glories. But yeah, so no, it's all a blur. It's absolutely all a blur.
So do you prefer to be busy? We were talking about it before we started recording. You don't like
Yeah, no, because if I sit around, I start obsessing about things. It's always better to keep me busy. But then in the same way, I can be toxically busy. My wife says toxically busy. You know, like I will find stuff to do all the time, and that is possibly not always a good thing.
Is that why you've gone into so many different fields then?
Yeah, I can't sit still. Absolutely can't sit still. So yeah, and also people always say, oh, haven't you got, your career's been so strange, and you know, like you've chosen all these different things, and how have you planned it? It's like, I haven't planned a thing, you know. When you do what we do, sometimes you take the next job that's offered to you because you've got to pay your mortgage, you've got to earn a living. So people have gone, oh, so why did you work in darts? I was like, they offered me a job to come and work on the darts, and I said yes. You know, and it's sometimes simple as that. That's not saying that I will do anything, but I possibly would. It's like, it's just, you know, variety is the spice of life, and I have never been somebody who is an expert. So.